Welcome back, everyone. Today I'm going to be talking a bit about the importance of slowing down, a kind of philosophy of life that is particularly important in an age whereby productivity and these metrics of hustle are seen as important and desirable. We look at our days and we want to fill our days with as much stuff as possible, and we glorify the person who is hyper productive and is able to fit so much stuff in such a small amount of time. And I think when we live our life in this way, where we're rushing around constantly looking ahead to the next thing to do, this never-ending list of things to do in our head, we really lose direct contact with living. When we lose our creativity, we lose our sense of childlike play. And life becomes very serious because our ego is constantly weighed down with all of the things that it thinks it needs to do in order to feel good about itself. People who are addicted to productivity, they experience this deep existential pain with stillness. They feel like sitting down doing nothing or meditating is a useless waste of time because their entire sense of meaning is derived by their output, by the work that they do. Now, our work is important, but our entire sense of we are not entirely defined by our work and the amount of money we're making, the amount of stuff we can do. The meaning of our life, the value of our life is provided by the simple act of existence itself. And this is the thing that we all need to understand. And it's the same idea that is echoed by many different spiritual and mystical traditions. The idea that our existence itself unconditionally has value. There is a beauty and an awe to life itself. And when we forget that sense of awe and that reverence for life itself, we try to find it by working relentlessly. Because we think we will find that sense of meaning, that sense of being relevant by being hyperproductive. But you will never really live life if you're rushing about, constantly agitated by this deep energy of insufficiency. The person who is hyperproductive feels deeply insufficient with what they are right now. They can't sit down in the moment and just be still because their mind is constantly tormented by all the things that it thinks it needs to do. And it does these things in order to quell that sense of agitation. The kind of OCD. Hyperproductivity is defined and characterized by obsessions and compulsions. And but of course, because it is economically viable to be this way, to present the illusion that you're hyperproductive at work in order to look like a good worker, because our work culture encourages this type of behavior. People think it's okay. Our culture can normalize and glorify a vast myriad of stupid and unhealthy behaviors. What we need to do is come into our intuitions and reflect on our own life. And do we really feel better? Is our life better when we are spent doing more and more things? No, I'm not advocating that we should be lazy. I'm trying to prompt a certain shift in our awareness so that we reflect on our mind and how our mind presents within our head things to do. And what is the feeling associated with these things to do? Is there a kind of anxiety? Or is there a love? Is there a sense of excitement and curiosity? I've noticed within myself in the past, occasionally, uh, these this hyperproductive urge, this sense of anxiety if I'm not outputting something, if I'm not working on something, if I'm not being productive, and this sort of compulsion within my mind, it prevented me from being able to truly relax. And relaxation is, of course, one of the most important things in being a healthy human being. If we are never relaxed, we are obviously going to burn out because we're not allowing our mind and our body the time and the space to replenish itself. And, if you're watching this right now, I want you to sort of meditate on how you feel right now in this very moment. Do you feel foggy in your head? Does your body feel tired? Do you feel stiff? Do you feel tense? If you feel all of these things, all these somatic signals, they are messages ultimately from your body arising in your consciousness that are telling you about the state of the body and your mind. Now, many of us, we silence those messages and we continue to work, we continue to output, we continue to be productive because, of course, productivity has become a compulsion for us. And it's become so compulsive that it has overshadowed the basic signals from our body that are telling us to stop. But if we, for a brief moment, slow down, watch our consciousness, maybe you do a simple yogic stretching routine, or you sit down to do a meditation, or you lie down, anything that forces you to slow down and take your attention away from the external world and all these external pursuits to actually turning to the inner. Anything that prompts you to do that, you will come into contact with all these somatic signals from your body. All the tension that you've been ignoring, everything like that. And as well, you will come to witness the natterings of the ego that have been pulling you into this compulsive productivity, into this go-go attitude, this rushing about, all these various thoughts that are taking you out of this moment into the next thing that you have to do. I think this culture has almost conditioned many of us to be robotic in how we work and how we think about work. And it's like we are the people who are cracking the whip, and it's all an internal psychological process. And we are surveilling ourselves. We are our own boss by assessing how much we are doing and whether that is sufficient. And if we are not doing what is sufficient, which many people feel, no matter how much they work, they feel it's never enough. In response to that feeling of insufficiency, they feel shit, they feel anxious, they feel agitated, and they are unable to relax and enjoy life. We only enjoy life, we are only creative when we are relaxed. And I think these insights have been a real revelation for myself in terms of how I work and think about things. I try to consciously do stuff with this intention of doing it for the love of it, doing it not out of this compulsive habit of wanting to be productive, but rather doing something because it feels right. I want to record this video and speak to you guys because it feels right to do so, not because I want to have a certain output schedule. And I think, when you turn what you love into work, you drain it of its soul, you drain it of its spirit, and it becomes a very boring thing, and that shifts your energy when you are actually doing it. When I speak about mindfulness and psychology and spirituality, I want to speak about it because I am passionate about it. How can we be passionate about something that feels draining? That feels like we have to do, that we're doing it out of obligation. I think this is something, a paradox that occurs to many creatives who wish to support themselves from their creative endeavors. At a certain point, their creativity becomes this work, this economical thing, this business thing. And then they stop seeing the creativity as something that they love to do, but something that they have to do. And that subtle shift is very significant. And then they stop measuring the quality of their work, and they start thinking purely about the quantity of their work and what are the material consequences of their works, like how many likes are they getting, how many views are they getting, all of the social media metrics that many of us we feel like we have to measure ourselves by it. We have to chase and pursue more of it. I myself, perhaps I'm in this cycle. Whilst I try to remain a clear consciousness of the joy of doing, the joy of creativity as a kind of meditation, I would be lying if I didn't also say that I do pay attention to who watches the stuff. I do pay attention to the number of people and the trajectory by which will be able to materially support myself from this. Now, of course, my exclusive motivation for making these types of videos is not the material rewards. Ultimately, my goal is to be able to support myself by doing what I love. And it is the hope that this content creation stuff and the mentoring that I do as well, I'll be able to support myself, because those are things that I love to do, But yeah, that's a whole different kind of conversation. Like this whole question of how do we monetize our creative pursuits, and how do we do that in a kind of aligned way that doesn't feel like it takes away from us. But yeah, unfortunately, in this reality, we all have to make money somehow. And yeah, I think I want to talk a bit more about money in the future. I've spoken about money a number of times before. It's a very important thing, a very significant energy in this reality. But anyways, I'll leave that at that. I'll see you guys next time. I hope it's been interesting and insightful, and goodbye.